Welcome to the Uncovered Stories channel. You need to hear this if you're a daughter who's ever felt like love with your mom was a competition. A mother should be her daughter's first friend, the person she turns to for comfort, guidance, and unconditional love. She should be a guide, a protector, and a safe place to land when the world feels overwhelming. But for Callie, her mother Trish was none of those things. Instead of warmth, she found coldness and rivalry. Instead of support, Callie faced a constant, unspoken competition she never wanted, a battle for attention she never asked to fight. Trish craved the spotlight, always needing to be the center of attention, even if it meant overshadowing her own daughter at every turn. Over time, Callie learned to shrink herself, believing it was the price she had to pay for family peace and her mother's approval. But when Callie finally found happiness with Jace, Trish saw him not as a son-in-law but as a new audience, and a threat to her control. The expectation is that a mother celebrates her daughter's joy, sharing in her milestones and victories. Trish did the opposite, turning every moment into a contest. This story is about recognizing toxic love, even when it comes from your own mother, the person you're supposed to trust most. Callie's journey is one of heartbreak and strength, learning that real love doesn't compete, manipulate, or demand you to be less than you are. She had to accept that the love she wanted from her mother was a fantasy, a dream that would never be fulfilled. In its place was a toxic need for attention that threatened to destroy her happiness and sense of self. This is the story of how Callie found the courage to walk away, to break free from a cycle that had defined her life for too long. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself, and in doing so, finally begin to heal. Trish wasn't just a mom, she was the cool mom. The one who wanted to be seen as a best friend rather than a parent. She craved approval from Callie and her friends, always eager to be included in their world. Desperate to stay young and relevant, Trish spent hours perfecting her look, mimicking the latest trends and making sure she never missed out on what was in. She dressed like Callie, partied with her, and blurred every boundary between parent and child as if they were sisters instead of mother and daughter. To outsiders, Trish seemed fun, someone who brought energy and excitement wherever she went. But to Callie, it was exhausting, like living with a roommate who never respected her space. There were no clear roles, just a constant sense of rivalry. Trish borrowed Callie's clothes without asking, read her journal, and treated her privacy like it didn't matter. She dominated every conversation with Callie's friends, always needing to be the center of attention, never letting Callie have her own moment. Callie's home felt less like a sanctuary and more like a stage for her mother's endless performance, where Callie was just a supporting character. Any attempt to set boundaries was dismissed as Callie being boring or too serious, as if wanting space was a flaw. Trish's young-at-heart act was a shield against criticism, a way to avoid responsibility and the discomfort of growing older. If Callie complained, she was a killjoy, accused of ruining the fun or being ungrateful for her mom's friendship. If she stayed silent, she lost herself, her needs and feelings buried under her mother's constant need for attention. A healthy parent celebrates their child's independence, encouraging them to grow and find their own path. But Trish saw it as a threat, something that might leave her behind or make her feel less important. She needed Callie close, always part of her audience, never letting her step out of the spotlight. This insecurity was about to destroy the most important relationship in Callie's life, threatening her chance at real happiness. The cool mom act was about to turn ugly, and the consequences would be impossible to ignore. Jace brought Callie the stability and respect she'd always wanted. For the first time, she felt seen and valued. Nervous but hopeful, Callie introduced Jace to Trish, asking her to just be a mom for one night. Trish greeted Jace in a revealing dress, lavished him with attention, and ignored Callie at dinner. She laughed too loudly, touched Jace's arm, and shared embarrassing stories about Callie. The evening was hijacked. Trish made herself the star, leaving Callie invisible. Jace handled it with grace, but Callie felt dread. Her mother's behavior was out of line, but Callie tried to brush it off. She didn't want to believe her mother could sabotage her happiness. But the first warning sign had been ignored. Sometimes denial is easier than facing the truth, but the truth was about to get much harder to ignore. After that dinner, Trish's campaign for Jace's attention moved online. What started as a few innocent interactions quickly became a daily routine. Trish seemed to always be on her phone, finding new ways to reach out to Jace. She sent him friend requests, commented on his photos, and messaged him privately. Her comments grew more frequent, and her messages more personal, as if she was trying to create a secret world just for the two of them. At first, it seemed like harmless oversharing, until the text turned personal. Jace was caught off guard by the sudden intimacy, unsure how to respond to Trish's unexpected attention. "Just thinking about you and that fun dinner we had," one message read. The words lingered in Jace's mind, making him question Trish's intentions. Then came selfies, complaints about Callie, and late-night texts asking Jace's opinion on her outfits. The messages became bolder, crossing boundaries that should never have been crossed. Jace showed Callie the messages. He'd been saving them, unsure what to do. He needed her to see the truth for herself, even though he dreaded her reaction. Callie's heart sank as she read her mother's words, twisting reality and trying to drive a wedge between them. Each message felt like a betrayal, a calculated attempt to undermine her relationship. This wasn't cluelessness, it was calculated betrayal. Trish knew exactly what she was doing, and she didn't care who got hurt. The person who should have protected Callie was actively sabotaging her. The trust between mother and daughter was shattering with every message sent. The shame and anger were overwhelming. Callie felt exposed, betrayed, and completely alone in her pain. There was no more denying it. Trish was trying to steal her daughter's boyfriend. The evidence was undeniable, and the truth was devastating. Callie knew she had to confront her mother. She couldn't let this betrayal continue, no matter how much it hurt. Some betrayals cut deeper than any wound. The pain of being hurt by someone you love is almost impossible to describe. This was one of them. For Callie, nothing would ever be the same again. Armed with proof, Callie confronted Trish. Trish's mask slipped, panic, then indignation. "I was just being friendly," she insisted, but Callie stood firm. The conversation turned ugly. Trish attacked, accused Callie of jealousy, and twisted the narrative. It was classic gaslighting. Trish painting herself as the victim, Callie as the unstable daughter. "Maybe Jace is tired of you," Trish spat, desperate to win. In that moment, Callie realized there was no reasoning with her mother. There was no love, only a need to win at any cost. The last hope for their relationship vanished. Callie stood up, knowing she couldn't stay another minute. Sometimes survival means walking away from the people who hurt you most, and that's exactly what Callie did. Callie left, choosing peace over poison. Jace was there, steady and supportive. Trish retaliated with lies, painting Callie as unstable to family and friends. Some believed her, but Callie's true friends and Jace's family stood by her. Cutting off contact was painful, but necessary. Without Trish's manipulation, Callie began to heal. Therapy helped her rebuild, set boundaries, and recognize toxic patterns. Years later, Callie is thriving, her relationship with Jace stronger than ever. She's built a chosen family surrounded by genuine love. She still mourns the mother she never had, but no longer feels guilty for choosing herself. Sometimes the bravest act of self-love is walking away. You can't choose your family, but you can choose your peace. And that's a choice worth making.